have cells part two. And in looking at our cells part two, we did start talking about the cell membrane, and we talked about it being selectively permeable. That means some things can pass through and others can't. So here's the cell membrane, and there are some things that can pass through it, but some things are too big. They may have the wrong charge. There's multiple reasons why things may not pass through that cell membrane. Remember we called it a phospholipid bilayer.
Okay,
Bi
so here we
meaning
have
two, so there's two
cells
layers
part
here,
two.
phospholipid,
And in
phosphate
looking
group,
at,
and that lipid
our
group
cells
there, that
part two,
fat. We did start talking about the cell membrane. We
And-
talked about it being selectively permeable.
All
That
right,
means
so
some
when we
things
look
can
at
pass through and
those,
others
the
can't.
structure
So
of
here's
the
cell
membrane.
membrane.
Those
And
things
there are some things
in
that can pass through it, but some things
actually
are too
in
big.
the
They may have
membrane.
the
You have
wrong
these
charge.
embedded
There's
proteins.
multiple
You have
reasons
marker
why
proteins
things may not pass
that
through
attach
that
to
cell
carbohydrates.
membrane.
So they are.
Remember, we called it a
attached on the
phospholipid
outside of
bilayer.
the,
Bi
lipid
meaning
bilayer
two, so
there.
there's two layers
Receptor
here:
proteins. These
phospholipid,
will bind to
phosphate group,
specific
and that
molecules.
lipid
It
that
attracts
group
their
there, that
receptors.
fat.
Think of it like antennas,
And
they will attract specific
all right,
molecules.
so when we look
outside
at
of the
those,
cell. And then you
the
have
structure of the cell
proteins.
membrane, those
You
things
have,
in
integral proteins
the,
that are embedded
actually
that
in
go all the way
the
through
membrane.
the
You have these
membrane, all the
embedded
way from the
proteins. You have
outside
marker
inside.
proteins
And this
that attach
allows
to
for the
carbohydrates.
movement of
So
materials
they
in and
are
out of the cell.
attached
Materials
on
that are
the
too large to
outside
go
of
through the
the
phospholipid
lipid
bilayer.
there.
Materials that may have
Receptor
the wrong
proteins.
charge.
These
All
will
kinds
bind
of
to
different
specific
molecules
reasons
there
it
to go
attracts
their
through,
receptors. Think of it
but
like
they
antennas.
need that assistance. They need
And they
those
will
transport proteins, and those will
attract
go all the way through.
specific molecules.
All right, and then you
outside
have
of the cell.
inside
and then
of
you
the cell
have
membrane,
transport
where
proteins.
all the organelles
You have,
are
integral
inside is the
proteins that are
cytoplasm, and this is a
that go
jelly-like
all the way
substance.
through the
It goes
membrane,
between
all
the
way
cell
from the
membrane
outside
and the
inside.
nuclear
And this
membrane.
allows for the movement.
All right, and again, here is that
materials in
structure.
and out
So
of
here's the
cell.
outside. This
Materials
would be
that
the
are too
outside
large
of the
to go
cell.
through the
This is the
phospholipid
inside.
bilayer.
This is that
Materials that
integral
may have the
protein
wrong
that I
charge.
talked
All
about. This
kinds
is
of
the
different,
passageway,
reasons there to
that
go
protein
through,
channel
but they
where
need that
things will be able to
assistance. They
get
need those
pumped
transport
through here.
proteins, and
Pumped,
those will go all
it'll
the way through.
move through.
All
or
right,
get
and then you
pumped
have
out.
inside
And
of
then
the
here's
cell
the
membrane,
carbohydrate
where
chain.
all the organelles
the
are
carbohydrate
inside
chain
is the
say that 3
cytoplasm,
times
and
fast.
this is a jelly-like
And
substance. It
of
goes
the
between
different
the cell
integral
membrane
proteins
and the nuclear
that
membrane.
are on the surface of
All right,
the,
and again,
here is that
of the
structure.
cell
So here's the
membrane.
outside. This
And
would be
again,
the
here's a
outside of the
great
cell.
picture. Here's those
This is the
phosphate groups.
inside. This is
There's
that
those
integral
fats, remember,
protein
they don't
that I
like
talked
water.
about.
They're
This is the passageway.
Hydro
that
meaning water,
protein
phobic
channel
meaning fear.
where things will be able
So
to get pumped through here.
hydrophobic
Pumped,
means they don't like water.
move
They're afraid of
through
it, so
or
they
get
turn
pumped out.
inward away from
And then
the
here's
water.
the carbohydrate chain.
Hydrophilic
I'm sorry, the
are the
carbohydrate
phosphate
chain. Say that
groups,
3 times
and
fast.
those are on
And
the outside
of the different
and those
integral
are
proteins
hydrophilic, water
that are on
loving.
the surface of the cell membrane.
Ooh, that was loud.
And again,
All
here's a
right,
great picture.
that
Here's those phosphate
is-
groups. This is a picture
There's
here
those
of the fats. Remember, they don't like water. They're hydrophobic. Hydro meaning water.
And here you can
phobic meaning
see fear.
Here's the mitochondria.
So
and has all
hydrophobic
these little
means they don't like water. They're afraid of it, so they turn
curves, this
inward away from the water.
in here.
Hydrophilic
And, to
are
increase
the
that
phosphate
surface
groups,
area.
and those are on
Not sure how to
the
get that to
outside,
stop
and
making that
those
noise,
are
but it is
hydrophilic,
obnoxious.
water loving.
And the mitochondria truly is the powerhouse. It produces the energy,
Ooh,
the
that was loud.
ATP,
All right,
adenosine
that
triphosphate. This is a picture here of the mitochondria.
That is
This
considered
is
the powerhouse
the
of
site
the
of
cell.
intercellular
And here you can
respiration. Here's the mitochondria, and it has
And
all
we
these
have
little
these
cristae, which are these
curves,
shelf-like
cristae
membranes
in here.
and to increase that
All right, now
surface
the
area. The mitochondria also
Sure how to
contains the
get that to stop
mitochondrial
making that
DNA
noise, but
and
it is
the
obnoxious.
ribosomes. And the
Moving on to the
mitochondria truly
ribosomes.
is
Here's
the
a great
powerhouse. It
picture
produces
here
the energy
of
the
this
ATP.
process. When we
adenosine
do protein
synthesis, when we study
triphosphate,
that, you're going to understand this picture really well.
This is
But what the
the
ribosomes
site
do
of
is they're the site where
intercellular
proteins are
respiration.
made. They're made or synthesized.
And
Synthesized
we
means
have
to make these cristae, which
and
are
they
these
are made
shelf-like
on the
membranes
on the ribosomes.
in here.
All right, now
The
and some of
mitochondria
these are
also
attached to
contains the
endoplasmic
mitochondrial
reticulum.
DNA
So if the
and
ribosomes
the
are attached to the
ribosomes.
endoplasmic reticulum,
Moving on to the ribosomes,
then those
here's
are
a
the
great
rough
picture here
endoplasmic
of
reticulum.
this
If
process.
there's no
When we
ribosomes
do
on
protein
there, then
synthesis,
they
when we
are
study that, you're going to
smooth
understand this picture
endoplasmic
really
reticulum.
well.
And the ribosomes
But what the
aren't always
ribosomes
attached to
do is they're the
endoplasmic
site
reticulum.
where
Some are
proteins are
free floating.
made
They're
or synthesized,
unattached, and
synthesized
they're,
means to make,
provide for protein
and they are
synthesis
made on
inside the actual cell.
on the
So going back
ribosomes.
to that endoplasmic reticulum, talking about the rough
All
versus
right, now,
smooth.
and
First
some
of
of
all,
these
the
are attached to the
endoplasmic
endoplasmic
is this
reticulum. So if the
passageway
ribosomes
that's
are
attached to the nucleus. So the
endoplasmic
information
reticulum,
from the
then
nucleus
those
is
are the
going to
rough
move
endoplasmic
through
reticulum.
the
If there's
endoplasmic
no
reticulum.
ribosomes
It
on
moves
there,
the
then
material
they are,
around inside the cell.
smooth endoplasmic
Again, here's the
reticulum.
rough. The rough
And the
is dotted
ribosomes
with
aren't
these
always attached to
ribosomes.
endoplasmic
The
reticulum.
smooth
Some of
does
them are
not
free-
have any
free
ribosomes.
floating
They're
on it.
unattached, and they're
We move to the Golgi
provide for
apparatus.
protein
The Golgi
synthesis
apparatus, what it does is
inside
it
the actual
packages and
cell.
it sorts these
So going back to that
proteins be
endoplasmic
shipped throughout
reticulum, talking about the
cell
rough
or
versus
outside
smooth.
of it.
First of all,
It's
the
made of
endoplasmic
these
reticulum
saccules,
is
or
this
these flattened
passageway
vacuoles, so
that's
you can see
attached to
they're
the nucleus. So
flattened
the
out
information
here,
from the nucleus
and
is going to move through.
it produces the
the endoplasmic
glycoproteins
reticulum. It
and
moves
the
the material
lysosomes.
around inside the cell. Again,
So the
here's
Golgi
the rough.
apparatus
The rough
packages and
is dotted with
sorts
these
those
ribosomes.
proteins,
The
just like
smooth
these
does
guys
not
are
have any
packing
ribosomes on
stuff
it.
up and moving it. We
All
move
right,
to the
well,
Golgi
speaking of
apparatus.
lysosomes,
The Golgi apparatus,
Oh,
what it does
boy,
is
that
it
is
packages and it
obnoxious. I wish
sorts
I could
these
turn that
proteins
off.
to be shipped
Okay.
throughout the cell or
the
outside
suicide
of it.
bag. We call
It's
this
made
the
of these
trash can.
saccules or these
The
flattened
lysosome
vacuoles.
contains
So you
the
can see they're
flattened
the
out
digestive
here.
enzymes and the
And
hydrochloric acid. It's going to
It produces the
digest all kinds
glycoproteins
of, like,
and the lysosomes.
older cells.
So the Golgi
lysosomes
apparatus
are only
packages
found.
and
You're only going to
sorts
find
those
those in
proteins,
animal
just
cells.
like these guys
And
are packing
it
stuff up
contains
and
the
moving it.
hydrolytic enzymes.
All right. Well, speaking of lysosomes,
So hydro again meaning water,
boy,
lytic
that is
means to
obnoxious.
lyse
I
or
wish
to
I could
kill.
turn that off.
And so there are enzymes that are going to destroy.
The suicide bag.
We call this the trash
All
can.
right. Now,
And the
it has this
lysosome contains
auto-digestion,
the digestive
that
enzymes and the
self-destroys.
hydrochloric
So
acid.
it's
It's
the
going
trash
to
can
digest
of
all
the cell.
kinds of
and there's lysosome.
older
Okay.
cells.
Now, the
cytoskeleton,
the lysosomes
very
are
important
only found.
job. Well,
You're
I
only
guess
going to
they
find
all
those
do,
in animal cells.
But the cytoskeleton holds the cell
It
together and
contains
keeps
these
the cell membrane
hydrolytic
from collapsing.
enzymes.
So it's made
So
of
hydro
these
again
protein
meaning water,
fibers,
lytic
these
means to lyse, or to kill.
microfilaments, and these
so they're enzymes
microtubules.
that are
So
gonna
there's
destroy.
tubes that are long. They're tubes. Think of them as
Now,
tubes.
and
And
the
the
filaments,
filaments,
they're like, if you think about the filament in
that
a light bulb, that
self-destroys. So it's
thin
the trash can
fiber,
of the
and
cell.
so they
Oh,
help
and
with
there's
the
lysol.
structure and support of the,
Now the cytoskeleton,
in the cell.
very important job. Well, I guess they all do.
Right, I think I have a good
but
picture
the
coming up
cytoskeleton
here.
holds
But
the cell together
again,
and
the
keeps the cell
cytoskeleton
membrane from
functions in
collapsing.
the
So it's
cellular
made of
movement,
these protein
cellular movement
fibers
with
the cilia,
these,
which are little hair-like structures all
microfilaments
over,
and these
flagella,
microtubules,
which
so
is more
there's
like a
tubes
long
that are like
whip-long
structure.
They're
And
tubes.
Think
the
of them as
movement of
tubes,
materials.
and
they
the
also
filaments,
increase
they're
surface
like, if you
area,
think
which
about
is
the
real
filament
important.
in a
We'll see
light
that when we
bulb,
talk
that
about
that
digestion and
thin
things like
fiber,
and different
so they help with the
sensations.
structure and
There it
support
is.
of
There's the picture of the cytoskeleton.
So
in
here's
the
the
cell.
structure inside the cell. You can see the cell membrane there on
I think
either
I have a
side.
good picture
Here's our
coming up
endoplasmic
here.
reticulum.
But again,
these
the
structures here,
cytoskeleton
these
functions in the
microtubules,
as I
cellular
said, they look
movement,
like tubes.
cellular movement with
And
the cilia,
then
which are
these
little hair-like structures
microfilaments,
all
they just
over.
look like strings or
Flagella, which is
strands.
more like a long whip-like
Right,
structure.
so those provide
and
structure and
the
support
movement of
within the
materials.
cell.
They also
All right, moving on
increase
to the
surface
vacuole.
area, which is real important.
The
We'll see that when
vacuole
we talk
here is
about
the storage
digestion
part of the
and things
cell.
like
Whether
that.
we're talking
And
plant
different
or animal
sensations.
cell, it doesn't matter.
There it is.
The
There's
vacuole
picture of
does
the
play a role in
cytoskeleton.
both plant
So
and
here's the
animal
structure
cells.
inside the cell. You
However,
can see the
there's
cell
a
membrane
huge
there on
difference
either
between
side.
the
Here's our
vacuole in a
endoplasmic
plant versus
reticulum,
the
but
vacuole
these
in an
structures here, these
animal. The
microtubules,
plant cell
as
has
I
a
said,
very
they look like
large
tubes.
vacuole.
And then
And
these
the animal cell
microfilaments,
has
they
a
just
vacuole,
look like
but it
strings
is
or
a
smaller
strands.
one. All right, so those
Excuse me.
provide structure and support within
All right,
the cell.
Now,
All right,
the
moving on
cell
to the vacuole.
is only found
The
in a plant
vacuole
cell.
here
And
is
you
the
can see
storage
how,
part of the
you know,
cell.
when you
Whether
look at
we're
a plant
talking
cell, it
plant
has
or
more of this
animal cell, it
rectangular
doesn't matter
the
appearance
vacuole
versus
does
an
play a
animal
role in
cell,
both
which
plant
does
and
not
animal
have.
cells.
It has more of a
However,
rounded shape
there's a huge
or,
difference between
but just not
the
this square.
vacuole
Well, this
in a plant
this
versus
cell
the vacuole
wall is
in an
only in
animal.
plant cells,
The
and
plant
it
cell has
provides
a
that
very
support
large
because
vacuole,
the plant
and
cell
the animal cell has a
itself doesn't
vacuole,
have
but
it doesn't have a skeletal structure, and so it needs this in order to be able to hold it upright.
All right.
And again,
Now,
look at that
the
vacuole.
cell
Very
wall
large
is
in
only
the,
found in a plant
cell.
cell. And you can see how, you know, when you look
All
at
right.
a plant cell,
The
it has more of this
chloroplast.
rectangular
Again, this is only found
in plant
appearance
cells too,
versus an
because
animal cell,
the
which
purpose
does
of the
not have, it has
chloroplast
more
is
of
to
a rounded
capture
shape
energy from the
or,
sunlight and
but just
convert
not
it to
this square.
chemical
Well,
energy.
This cell wall is only in
Photosynthesis.
plant cells,
Photo
and it
means
provides
light.
that support
Synthesis
because
means
the
to make.
plant cell,
So it is basically
itself
making
doesn't have
food
it
from
doesn't have a
light.
skeletal structure.
And what it does
and
is it
so
contains
needs
chlorophyll,
this in order
which
to
is
be
a
able to hold
green
it upright.
pigment.
And again, look at that
This right
vacuole.
here
Very large
is called a
plant cell.
thylakoid. And within the thylakoid,
The
you have
chloroplast.
these,
Again, this is only found in plant cells
rows,
too,
these
because
stacks.
the purpose of the
of,
chloroplast is to capture energy from the sunlight
within
and
here.
convert
So you
it
have
to
your
chemical
thylakoids
energy.
within here, and you have each individual one
Photosynthesis. Photo
is the
means
grana.
light.
And
synthesis
so
means
I like
to
to think
make.
of it kind of
So
like
it is basically
peppermint
making
patty.
food
If you've
from
ever had one
light.
of those, they're absolutely
And what it does is it
fabulous.
contains
I'm going to have to
chlorophyll,
demonstrate
which is
that
a
one
green
in class.
pigment. But this is what the
This right
chloroplast actually
here
looks like, and its job is to capture
called a
energy.
thylakoid.
Obviously,
And
only
within
found
the
in plant cells because
thylakoid,
animal cells
you
do
have
not
these
photosynthesize.
rows,
And
these
again, here's another
stacks
picture
of
the plant cell. Take note
the
special
within
pay close
here. So you have
attention
your
here to the
thylakoids
size of
within
that
here, and you have
vacuole, and
each
again,
individual
you can see
one
that cell
is the
wall
grana.
giving it structure.
And so I
All
like
right,
to
there's
think of
another
it kind
picture
of like
of a plant cell
a
there.
peppermint
with the cell
patty. If
wall,
you've ever
the
had
cell
one of those,
membrane,
they're absolutely
and
fabulous.
the
I'm going to have to
different
demonstrate
organelles
that
that
one
are
in
within there.
class.
Again,
But this is
you're
what
only
the
gonna see your
chloroplast
cell
actually
wall
looks like, and
and
its
your
job is to
chloroplast
capture
within
energy. The
Obviously,
plant
only
cell,
found
and
in
you're going
plant
to see
cells
these
because
giant
animal
vacuoles
cells do
within
not
these
photosynthesize.
I'm sorry, the plant cell.
And again,
All right,
another
moving on
picture
to the animal
of the plant
cell
cell.
here.
Take note.
Here we have an animal cell. You can
Special
see
pay
the
close
structure
attention
is
here
much
to the
different.
size
It
of that
doesn't have that
vacuole,
large
and again, you
wall
can
on
see
the
that cell
outside.
wall giving it structure.
And there's
All right,
nothing
there's
in
another
here that you
picture
could.
of
There's a
plant cell
vacuole in
there
here,
with the
but
cell
it is
wall and the
not
cell
large
membrane
enough to where it's
and
so
the
obvious
different
like it was
organelles
in
that are
the,
within there.
plant
Again,
cell.
you're only going to see
All right,
your
you can
cell
see
wall
there
and
is
your
the vacuole,
chloroplast
and they are
within
much smaller.
the
Now,
plant
I
cell.
really
You're gonna
like
see
these
these
giant
Venn diagrams,
vacuoles.
of course,
within
the Venn
the
diagrams
cell,
being
the
what
plant cell.
what
All right,
one
moving on to
individual
the
has,
animal cell
and
here.
then what they
Here
share
we have an animal
together
cell.
here
You
in
can
the
see
center.
the
So again, are
structure is
eukaryotes
much
and
different.
prokaryotes?
Doesn't have that large
What they
wall on
have
the
together
outside.
is they both have cell membrane
And
both have ribosomes.
there's nothing in
and
here
both
that
have
you
a
could. There's
cell
a
wall.
vacuole
However,
in here, but it is
all
not
of these
large
organelles
enough to where it's
prokaryotes
so
don't have
obvious
them.
like
Remember,
it was
no
in
membrane-bound
the plant
organelles.
cells.
All right, you
And
can see there is the vacuole, and they are much smaller.
Now
And
I
then over
really
here,
like these Venn
with
diagrams.
plant cells
Of course,
versus
the Venn
animal
diagrams
cells,
being
plant cells
what
are the only ones
what
with the
one
cell wall,
individual
the only
has,
ones with chloroplast,
and then what they
animal
share
cells
together
only
here in
have
the
the
center. So
lysosomes,
again, our
plant cells don't
eukaryotes and
have it, but
prokaryotes,
they have all of
what
these
they
other
have together is
in
they both have
common.
cell membrane.
And
Both have
lastly, this is a
ribosomes, and
fabulous
both have a cell wall.
chart.
However,
This is
all
a
of
very,
these
very good one for you to
organelles,
camp on and spend
prokaryotes
some
don't
time.
have
But
them.
you can
Remember,
see
no
the
membrane-bound
structures that are
organelles.
only in animal
And
cells, only in plant cells,
The
and then over
or
here
in both.
with
So
plant
spend a
cells
little
versus
time on
animal
that.
cells. Plant
And
cells are
that's
the
all
only
we
ones
have
with the
today
cell
for
wall,
cells.
the only
Have
ones
a
with
great day.
chloroplast. Animal cells only have the lysosomes. Plant cells don't have it, but they have all of these other in common. And lastly, this is a fabulous chart. This is a very, very good one for you to camp on and spend some time. But you can see the structures that are only in animal cells, only in plant cells, and or in both. So spend a little time on that. And that's all we have today for cells. Have a great day.